thank you so much for joining us again for our Monday Lab. This one is very unconstructed. As usual, I have some conceptual points in mind, but it's very unconstructed because it's called My Character. And I want to talk about the satisfaction of playing a character literally during play, right? Getting, once we're playing, let's work with examples. I want to know about examples of play, of what it was like and how you liked it and who the character was and all of that stuff. All the things, Helma, there's a long-standing joke in the hobby that people are always trying to tell you about their characters, and the conversations are dreadful. They're awful. The person is always they inhale too fast, like right, and they tell you this and that, and it makes no sense. What they say makes no sense at all. They're just blithering about, and then right, and it's a classic. I mean, for decades in the hobby. I mean, there are even T-shirts that say "Don't tell me about your character." Right, because of this. Or someone will set up a booth in the convention and they will say, pay $5 and I'll listen about your character.
Right. That sounds like a good idea.
Actually, yeah. And so, because nobody will do it without
charity.
Yeah. Say that again, Alexandra?
The profits went to charity as far as
so people
I remember. So it's cool.
Yeah. But obviously it makes sense in terms of the existing joke that nobody would do this unless they were paid. So let's talk a little bit then about those awful entities and what it was like to play them and why it was, in this cases that we're talking about, why it was worth it. Anyone?
I can start with a quick one, one from a one shot, maybe an example. So there was one character, and I was playing a science fiction game. It was sort of a cross between, like, if you imagine V and Logan's Run combined, sort of. So when and this character, I kind of modeled him on, Hudson from Aliens. He was sort of like, oh no, game over, man. This kind of thing. Where he started out he just wanted to survive this horrible situation he was in. But as the game went on, he developed relationships with the other player characters. And then at the climax, he came to a decision point where he could ensure his safety by becoming a turncoat, or he could go this other way, take a big risk, possibly be death, and in order to make that choice, he had to he had to decide. So it was like balanced on a knife edge, but the way I played it is because he had those relationships now, he went and took the riskier option. And instead of being like, game over, man, he was like, game over, man, like that. So he changed in an interesting way, right? So like at the beginning of the game, he definitely would not have made the riskier choice. But the end he did. So it showed, so that's what I enjoy about gaming, is when you have characters that can change in an interesting way like that. So that's one quick example.
Just as a quickie question, do you remember the game system that you guys were using?
It was something being play tested.
Ah, okay.
So.
Another element that I've found, I GM so many games that it's hard for me to actually think of examples when I've been a player. However, I've recently been playing Champions Now, and I chose one of the things I've been doing intentionally in my role playing the last 4 or 5 years is trying to own leadership because it's a personal issue. And so in this Champions character, I decided to go for the Tony Stark, Bruce Wayne kind of guy who is in control of a huge corporation and has all this power and yet doesn't want it at the same time. So it's we haven't developed it very far, but it's been quite gratifying to be able to just walk around and give orders and initiate things. So I think there's a safety in exploring that I've found valuable. And it took me a long time to have the courage to actually create a character that expressed this part of what I wanted to do.
How many sessions has it been?
2, I think.
Right.
So, and I've already started. I mean, I set up a dependent NPC who is basically my prime rival in the corporation with a lot of power in the corporation. So, I'm setting myself up to have the conflict that I'm most afraid of in real life.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. Cool. All right. What's the character's name?
Alex Forge is his ordinary name. His code name is Lone Star because we're playing in Houston, Texas.
Oh, that's right. That's Rod's game that he's doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So next.
Okay, so you want to hear like a story about my character?
Ooh, the possible answers to that. I mean, the hell pit that would occur by saying yes. I don't know if story's the right word. Tell me about how playing this character was great.
Okay.
Did you
so
wanted?
it was a game of D&D 5th edition. Usually I don't play D&D, but I decided to. And the general background of the session was that it's going to be like a D&D-esque fantastic Rome, like ancient Rome. And those guys, they played before in this setting, like it was their a campaign from before. So the setting was kinda sketched. And I was a new person in this group. And I remember that I asked the GM about some ideas about the setting, like what he's got. He got some I know some deities, some ideas about the city and so on. And I decided to make a character so it would be relevant, whatever would happen. The initial story was that we are going to get a job from a wealthy senator. So I decided to match as many points as possible. So my character was his bodyguard, this senator bodyguard, that was freed from a death sentence because as a background, I choose a swindler, I think, blackmailer, who ran to the legions because of something wrong she did. And like other swindlers and bandits in the city, like made a death warrant for her. She ran into the legions and she made some scheme with smuggling some food that would go to the soldiers, and because of that he would be sentenced to death. So that guy supposedly freed her and make she was his person for the wet work, like anything illegal or like that he shouldn't do personally. So in this way, when we acted with the people from the legions, or like the bandits that were before then legionnaires, I had some contacts. I had contacts in the city, and I was very invested in the whole intrigue about this senator. So, but of course, I wasn't the just doing the quest. We're supposed to, I don't know, to retrieve the stolen black horse. And it was like very, very important. Was supposed to be given to the gods or something. But it was very, very expensive. So I decided to, let's steal it. Let's sell it, to someone else. And all the time, my character was messing with the whole intrigue. She was telling stories about, okay, after this quest, we have to go to an orgy with zebras, or we have to drink a lot, or there was supposed to be a fight with some satyrs and other mythological creatures. But I deceived them, but by saying that we are connected to the gods and they are supposed to give the don't fight with us, but also to give the wine that they were drinking back as a tax. So it was awesome. It doesn't sound that cool when I'm telling this, but a lot of fun in this in playing this character was that I was allowed to use the background of the character, the backstory of the character, the funny and absurd ideas of my character, to mess with what was supposed to be a campaign. We still had fights, but those ideas changed the whole flavor of the campaign, the relationships with different characters. So I loved it. It was fun.
I have a list of questions that I'm writing down based on all these things people are saying.
Mm-hmm.
Helma, do you want to go next?
Well, if it's not necessary to talk in past tense, because I have no character I have left behind me.
No, it's not necessary to talk in past tense. Current is fine.
The one I start to like actually is Skava, which I play in an ongoing RuneQuest campaign. And what I like about her is how much different from myself she is. She never seems to think about anything. She's surprising even me.
Mm-hmm.
She's operating on gut feelings and intuition, and it's really fun. She had a pretty bad temper, which may or may not be something I can relate to. But what I like most is the way she's changing through what happens to her, from being somebody who basically didn't care about anybody else to being somebody who cares quite a lot about the people she calls her friends and even people in her surroundings. So I'm curious where she'll end up.